Hey, so it's a little later in the day, September the 11th, and my alma mater's football team is doing all right after a thumb on the scales event. I feel like I don't get a chance to even watch full football games often because I have so much Mockingbird interference. Like the front of it can be changed to modify the broadcast only for me, and then it can also go sort of like regional and not be only for me too. At like community involvement and trying to mess with the TI. Anyways, yeah, it's a real. Some of the other TI that I've talked to about when Mockingbird turns on, like in the EMF, they could with the same software make my mouth look like it's moving when it's not. Modify the front of a television, and it only looks modified for me for covert brainwashing and whatnot. Other TI that have experienced the situation when the Mockingbird media system turns on, just stop watching TV is the solution. So it's worked for me for fairly well. I recently found out that's the case, is that when I look at a television or computer screen or whatnot, it can be both modified so it's just for me, and then also go at least regional, and then kind of follow me around too, where there's an overlap for deception and advantage purposes over a TI, where what appears to be me in the press or whatnot actually is attributed to the real person. Or I don't know. There's a lot of ways to describe it, and the idea of art imitating life and life imitating art. TIs are used for secret surveillance, torture, experiments, degradation in the human condition, excuses for torture, adding meaning to the suffering. And my consciousness overlaps with federal systems, the common examples and instances of human experience, and so a lot of TI being really capable people and being inspirational anyways, just not getting the normal civilized protection from social institutions as egregious as the intelligence outfits. Anyways, I feel like I'm sort of rambling on. So it's September the 11th. I'm cataloging my day to counteract the secret surveillance I'm under anyways. So this is my effort at counter surveillance on an $80 Kindle Fire HD. For other TIs out there, keep your receipt. Get one of these things, like for, I don't know, like if anything gets like disposable tablets that you, or not, I mean, like I went and changed out this tablet within 30 days of purchasing it, and got a new device, and didn't have to pay any more money than the initial $80. And it may make a lot more economic sense for if you don't have a virtual drive that you're using and having like very little hardware to even see. Cheap tablets that are more or less disposable, instead of trying to figure out how some guy hacked your tablet and taking it to Geek Squad for $35 or $50 or whatever some of the DIY solutions would be. Turn it in for a new one, or worst case scenario, you got spend another $80. But some of the perpetrators that are on me still talk about using virtual drives and hosting to house computer operating systems, like having Windows 10 on a hosted cloud. I don't know all the language, so that you could have like an app on your cell phone or your laptop that connects to a cloud that has a whole Windows 10 operating system on it. And like, it may be sort of some of the ways that they get away with their perping that in virtual drive theft off like productive intellectual copyright people like myself. But yeah, in the virtual drive theft has been a real problem for me off my devices. If you can get a operating system on a cloud and then have like an app and be like, boom, there's Windows 10, or like all the different ways that those that are high and advanced in the computer science discipline, which was one department among many in a liberal arts institution, they have such advantages that I'm really happy for folks like Kevin Christian of Georgia. And like, he may not want to hear a lot of like praise from an Oregon Duck down there, Georgia Bulldog fighting all those battles himself, but I gotta hand it to the other TI publicly or privately that do good work. I'm worried about redundant systems. Like he's talking about, like it's like, at least on some of the clips I've seen, like he's like, it's not cell phones, you know, it's not the tower, it's not the cell phone tower, it's the EEG, the existing electromagnetic infrastructure of Earth and you. And like all of the misdirection or pointing at what is not the solution to the problem, like the 5G worry. I think it's redundant systems. Like it's both that Kevin and I are remote neural monitored, and all my perps need is my EEG, my geography, the satellite codes, their virtual drive, cloud hosted operating system, and they're perping right here in their bodies in China for all I know. Anyway, so Kev Aristo, detailing some of the perpetrator end, and Dr. Horton, I've watched a little bit of. I'm worried about her taking on more than she can chew as the intelligent outfits that she's investigating and learning more about are reading her thoughts at the same time, similar to my situation as a master. The way that they neutralized the intelligentsia was using our brains against us, giving people our remote neural monitoring that had our consciousness and theirs that were hired to specifically work against us. Others that may have received my consciousness and enjoyed it, but didn't work against me. Hey, maybe we could have done a total kumbaya thing. Like it's got all fucked up for this wonky, deep state attacked, progressive type, I guess. Oh, okay, so things that are still on the back burner for stuff that I was interested in public service. Postage paid on our ballots. They come in the mail. It's a poll tax. Those are legal. We should get rid of that. I am taking better steps to maybe secure funds to buy a brain-computer interface set up myself. I'm taking probiotics for other TI that may be having abdominal attacks, like you're getting subjected to internal organ damage and whatnot. My digestion was shot in those ways, and I've had a lot of health problems that way. And probiotics, along with Insure Plus, which is a liquid food supplement that you put in coffee. I call it Northwest Coffee Food. It's a good way to not get poisoned, if you're worried about that as a TI also. So I didn't fill out my affidavit with Dr. Horton's effort for international recognition, and gang stalking is designed to get around the legal system, and in a lot of ways really is paramilitary and extrajudicial. And I'm in this place where I'm surrounded by hostiles and can't join a group or an electromagnetic being group, and I'm getting horribly misled by like two other electromagnetic beings that could have been allies. And then I'm worried about my community. I don't get a chance to interact with them much. It's cooled out maybe this September the 11th for me after these last like 3.5 years of real wicked psyops. I almost died in 2016. I'm not looking to do that anytime soon. I'm a lot more aware and strong and able to withstand some of the visual interactions when you like see a broadcast. At first it was being made to be tainted, and like my eyes hurt when I would see some things. It's not been as bad today. Or when I'm allowed to feel good, like there's less direct energy weaponry on me, like specifically being made tired artificially at that time. Like, oh, making you feel good makes you feel tired, or like just so that they can say these few word statements like, oh, he hated feeling good. And then, you know, priorities of the TI and 3D reality over everything that is the EMF sub-reality, they, you know, would call us, anyways, it's extremely difficult as a TI, and the way that these coup attempts usually go after the intelligentsia first, the way they beat me and Dr. Horton and everybody like us, masters, PhDs, it doesn't matter how smart you are or your level of expertise, they're reading our thoughts, having our life experience at the same time, spitting our very EEG signal up to super computer and computing and recording, you know, clean records and not, you know, this and that. It doesn't matter how smart you are if your governance, intelligence communities, synthetic telepathy groups are reading your thoughts as you're having it too, and then specifically using it against you in a lot of real ways that weren't possible before synthetic telepathy. So I'm worried about her biting off more than she can chew, and I feel like I've done that over the last 5-10 years, and I'm happy with things like moments of quiet, less neurolinguistic programming, visual communication, even with the EMF, particularly friendly EMF beings, like, hey, what up? Like, that doesn't hurt my eyeballs, not getting broadcast, and maybe trying to have at least fond memories of a Constitution, Bill of Rights I don't have. I mean, that's really the issue. Like, what do I want? I want my Constitution, Bill of Rights. What's wrong getting broadcast? So, yeah, it's a nice sunny day here, September the 11th, out in Oregon. I'm enduring. A lot of people talk about dealing with being perped. We endure. There's not really a lot of exchange, except more of a parasitic relationship, often on TI. Oh gosh, and so like in this small setup, my perpetrators can fake whole people like walking this way that aren't even real human beings. They can fake my support and my opposition in blue beam hologram manifestations of humans that aren't really there and may not even have a real like brain computer interface body that they hook up with another location. The being able to fake the presence of people in terms of destruction of community, really severe ways, attacks on TIs like myself, I can't emphasize enough. It sounds like benign or not as horrific and torturous and deadly and bad as it really is, but the faking human beings technology that has been let loose is wickedly, horribly destructive. Like I talked about maybe on one of these videos, a woman who was a MK Ultra slave, like sex slave too, and she thought it was her sister who put her into the program. And what had happened is that an EMF perpetrator impersonated her sister, kicked off the torture and mind control, and then the woman never knew that that was a person who was an EMF perpetrator impersonating her sister. And then she gets mad at the real sister, cuts off that relationship for the rest of her lives, and the human capitalist has a targeted individual that now won't even talk to one of the more primary means of support with another family member because he impersonated her form to throw her to the program. And other things like that, like examples of that, and therapy and deprogramming for TI is something I think about sometimes. That's called satanic misdirection with people, and it's happened with me and my family members, seeing shit that somebody faking my brother Chris said about my brother Saul, or my dad being impersonated and trying to blame me for his stroke. None of those, you know, it was EMF perpetrators impersonating my family. Anyways, there's a new website that I've come across, Deprogram Wiki, that helps people or attempts to help people that have had trauma-based mind control and other manipulations that weren't their fault. And I've been perusing that recently also, as my advice to maybe other TIs that see this video is that Deprogram Wiki may be a place to look if you've like heard voices that are from electromagnetic terrorism.